Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I think I'm live. All right, I'm home briefly. My lunch is cooking. I'm on my lunch break, and I was just recently catching up on things. Like I was looking at stuff in regard to the demonstration with the No Kings and seeing the people behind that, and finding out more things. Um, yeah, there was a No Kings demonstration in my city. I went downtown, um, and I was not well, I'll get into that. Maybe I'll do a brief stream when I get home too. I think I will. But yeah, I was looking at. I was commenting on like this Graham Plattner guy that they're really shilling hard for the Maine senator position. Um, and I sniffed him out as like some industry plant a long time ago. Someone who's not trustworthy. Someone who's phony. Um, Looking at his background, it looks very obvious. Like the only thing they ever prioritized or mentioned about his background is, oh, I'm a military vet, combat vet, specifically in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I'm like, so you killed a bunch of civilians, is what you're telling me. You invaded, you helped with that invasion over there in the Middle East, and you slaughtered a bunch of people defending their home, is what you're telling us. Um, you were a machine gunner. You weren't working in like some inventory office. So that's already a red flag to me. And then he went back for multiple tours, so he didn't look like he was regretful at all about the shit he was doing. And then after that, he goes and joins BlackRock, a basically a hive of scum and villainy, I will say, a private military corporation that's very Nazified. It's lousy with Nazis. All right. So lo and behold, when we find out this motherfucker ends up having a Totenkampf, a Nazi tattoo on his chest that he's had for apparently 13 years, never decided to get rid of it though. Never decided to tattoo over it, much less laser remove it. I know people have issues about, well, laser removal is could cause some harm, but you couldn't even tattoo over the shit. You had all this time. And then he comes out with this cope about, oh, I just didn't know it was a Nazi symbol. And I'm like, what the fuck? No one gives that tattoo without letting a person know that it's a Nazi symbol or they're a Nazi themselves, right? They're not just going to give anyone who's not a Nazi that tattoo. They had to have known you were on board with that shit if they're giving it to you. All right, that's bullshit. And he, if you're that stupid, if we even believe your claim about, oh, I just didn't know it was a Nazi symbol, then that just tells us that you're stupid. You're probably too stupid to actually like be a representative at all. You're that politically ignorant. You're probably not trustworthy for this position, and you're going to lead us down a fascist road because you're not going to be able to uh, look at or defend against any of the fucking red flags to fascism. Toward fascism, you're going to align yourself with a bunch of fucking Nazis. You're not going to be able to sniff it out or reject it or fight against it because look what the fuck you're claiming here. You're that stupid. You're too stupid to notice that for 13 years you had a Nazi tattoo. Okay, one second. I got to turn off the stove. I'll be right back. Okay, that shit needs to cool down. So This is gonna be a short stream, obviously. I'm only doing it on my lunch break. But yeah. If you're that incompetent and that oblivious to Nazi shit and much less fascism, I mean, there's too many red flags. There's too many things that tell me that this guy is not actually a communist and is actually just some fucking Trojan fascist. Oh, 1 second. It's my alarm. It's just a smoke. It went off because I'm getting heated. That's why. Much less. I'm gonna close the stove too. I forgot to close it. Okay. Yeah, Hassan is one of them fucking content creators on Twitch who's been chilling that motherfucker really hard. He always shows the Trojans. He showed Fetterman that before we found out who the fuck he was. He was really shilling him hard. Now he's shilling this guy. This is Graham Plattner, the one on the right, and Zoran Mamdani, who looks like he might also be a failure, another Trojan. You know, they think we're just supposed to fall for rhetoric and not actually, you know, observe inconsistencies. Um, yeah, I'm suspicious toward him too. He already apologized for the globalized intifada when he didn't need to. That's already bad, and he's saying Hamas is evil. Like, what the fuck, guy? Shut up. Hamas should be ashamed. No, no, fuck off. Um, but look at this motherfucker. He got called out so hard, and people were already warning about Grand Planter, and then he start. They're they got on him because yeah, more bad shit's being revealed about him. That shit he said on Reddit. They only wanted to highlight the communist comment, which might not even be real. It might even be a joke. Yeah, I'm a communist. That one Reddit post. Okay, well that absolves you of being a Blackwater merc. I don't know why anybody would accept that answer, but that's what they did when people were pointing out. Yeah, they kept pointing out he's a Blackwater merc, and he did like 3 tours in Iraq before that. He was a machine gunner. Who the fuck do you think he was a machine gunning? We invaded that country, mind you. We're not just going after people who slighted us. We invaded that country. We're not protecting ourselves against anybody by going there. But anyway, yeah, he did that. He has a history of doing that. So they decided to pull out this Reddit quote from under the rug from years ago, apparently years ago, and that absolves him, guys. That absolves him. That absolves his history, his career of killing a bunch of brown people in the Middle East. Okay, and then we go look at his other Reddit post, and it's just a bunch of like Nazi shit. He shit on black folks, and he shit on women who like he shit on like rape victims basically. It's pretty fucking bad. And then he still did damage control for it. He still did damage control for it. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Dude, how much more shit are we gonna find out about this guy before you just give up? Like in Blackwater is notorious for like sexual assault. So that's already very telling that he's, you know, shitting on rape victims. So I don't he might have actually committed some shit while he was in Blackwater for all we know. So he decided to make this video where he's like basically bastardizing a writing by Lenin. You know, this is a statement he's going over that Lenin did back in 1920. So well after the Bolshevik Revolution, by the way, it's post-revolutionary talk. Like You got to put this stuff into more perspective, frame it better. But I'm going to play the beginning of it before I get out of here real quick.
Than whatever pamphlet reading left group that you have with your dumbass friends. That's just the reality. So you have to work within the existing reality instead of sitting around and fantasizing about a spontaneous revolution. Shut up. You are unserious. Oh, I have the utmost best possible alternative. It's called moral infallibility.
Now, this is dumb, what he just said, because they built communist parties prior to the Bolshevik Revolution, okay? They built communist parties prior to the 1905 revolution, all right? He's going to go over something about, actually, I'm going to just let him speak. But yeah, that's what we need to be doing. He doesn't believe in building like a communist party, for one thing. He doesn't believe in creating a new party. All right? He wants to do entryism into the Democrat Party, all right, which is anti-communist. It's not proletariat in any way. But that's all he wants to do. Electoralism. Like the communists were doing things beyond just elections or trying to, be involved in them. All right, they did actual material things. They did direct action. They went to the actual working class, talked to them, handed out info. They entered into worker unions and did that too. They did mutual aid. They did a bunch of shit. They didn't just do DNC shilling. All right, they didn't just do party shilling for some bourgeois party. And there's a big reason also for why they didn't do that he's not even going to bring up. But
I mean, this is the classic left-wing communism and infantile disorder. Should we?
All right. This is from Lenin. He's just going over the Wikipedia. He didn't even read the actual whole thing. He's going over Wikipedia clips.
In bourgeois parliaments.
I know more about this because I read the fucking thing years ago. He's doing what Vosh did. This is a Vosh tactic, where he like cherry picks things out of this very quote from Lenin, or this very discussion from Lenin, and uses it to support his dumbass position. He just misrepresent it. It's like the people who take Martin Luther King quotes to support Nazism. It's basically what Vosh did, and this is what Hassan is doing. He's taking quotes from Lenin to defend his fucking Nazi Blackwater candidate for Maine. That's literally what he's doing. He's doing the exact fucking stereotype I brought up. I'm gonna take some leftist communist quotes to defend the Nazis, okay? To defend white supremacy. That's what he's doing here.
To the utmost levity to the German left communists reply to this question in the negative. Their arguments in the passage quoted above.
Okay, he finally did he went to the writing on another site. That's good. He went to the source. That's actually something I'll commend him for. He didn't just look at the little clippings on Wikipedia.
Read. All reversion to parliamentary forms.
I'm not going to look at this whole video because I don't have that much time. But I do want to show this part. He goes over the parliamentary, which by the time Lenin wrote this, there was a parliament. Guess when they actually got a parliament, though. You won't believe this. It'll blow your fucking mind. Okay. Russia didn't get a parliament until 1905. Right? This is written in 1920. And this is already 3 years after the revolution. So that should tell you something right there. And guess how long the Bolshevik Party had been around? I mean, if you know anything about this, it should be obvious. But he doesn't. That's the problem with Hassan. He's a fake communist. But yeah, the Bolshevik Revolution had been around longer than the fucking parliament. I mean, not the revolution. I mean, the party had been around longer than the fucking parliament. They were working without the parliament when they were established. They were established in 1903. The Bolsheviks They didn't get together until they didn't have a real party until 1903. There was no parliament though to represent them until 1905, after the fucking revolution that happened in 1905. So this is what happened prior to getting a parliament in the first place, much less engaging in elections. They couldn't do that though prior. All right. And what happened in 1917? They said it couldn't have happened without the 1905 revolution. This is what Lenin admits. What we did could not have happened without the 1905 revolution prior. All right? Revolution has to precede some things for it to happen. And, the Bolsheviks were doing things behind the scene to, escalate to that revolution. They were doing things before that. They couldn't rely on electoralism before 1905, or politics, not electoralism. Just it's the same thing basically. But they didn't even rely on parliamentary politics. They did other things. They did more than that. They used parliamentary elections and such as tools of propaganda and trying to convince the masses how bourgeois parliaments or contradictions are not really serving you. They're not really representing you. All right. So, because by the time the parliament got established, there were already people from the fucking monarchy influencing the parliament. The parliament only came about as a gesture to placate the masses who were like revolting in 1905. That's the only reason they got it. That's the only reason Europe in general got any parliament. Because this is the same reason Germany got a parliament. It was a revolution that preceded that. It was the same reason why France got one. Basically. But yeah, he doesn't point that out. That's a problem. Because he doesn't know. The only reason they were able to do anything was because of a revolution. We're gonna have to have some actual motions behind the scenes to get a needle to move, because our party does not. We don't have a workers' party. All right, the Democrats are not the workers' party, and Hassan opposes a third party, much less creating a new workers' party. They don't allow them in the generals. All right. So there's gonna have to be more than just entryism. That's all he supports is DNC entryism.
Become historically and politically obsolete must be empathetically rejected. This is said with ridiculous pretentiousness and is patently wrong.
He's trying to frame this in the like as if they have the same established sort of Congress that we have today in the modern time, where it's explicitly anti-communist, like we don't even have a real socialist party. We have some social democrats, but the Democrat Party is not socialist. The entirety of the Democrat Party is not actually socialist. We just have some people call themselves, sock dems, and Lenin criticizes sock dems in this. He criticizes them. He criticizes anarchists. I've criticized anarchists in this, for good reason. Like, and Lenin does it too. He points out like in here he points out good reason why you should oppose the anarchists, because they're not serious. They're opportunists and they're too individualist. They don't want to build infrastructure. They think work and building infrastructure to have a vanguard in defense against the very bourgeois and the very feudalist capitalist plutocracy they talk about, they don't like. They say that's too authoritarian. We don't want to do it because they're not serious. A lot of them at the time were being funded by Western capitalists, like this guy Schiff. Schiff funded the anarchist, and I want to get his full name, but yes, I remember his last name specifically. But one second. I gotta get this food. Oops, I dropped something. But I'll be back. But I'm gonna end it in like 2 minutes. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, his name was Jacob Schiff. He was a banker. He funded the Narodniks and the SR party, basically. Um, they were anarchist leaning, basically. They were selfish, petty bourgeois, anarchist minded folks. And that's what Kerensky liked because they were more pro capitalist. But once the Bolsheviks took power, he really hated that. And the Bolsheviks, they basically usurped the Narodniks and the SRs and took their money. They took their money. Good. Um, he was mad about that. He demanded that the Bolsheviks return it. They didn't return it. They kept it and canceled all debts to these banks in general, much less that guy. But anyway, yeah, he's talking to the other European communists. He's talking specifically to, well, I think in this part specifically, he's talking to um, the Independent Communist Party, who had like a split. There used to be one party with this other party called the Spartacus Party. They're both communist parties, and I think they're the Spartacus also were trying to accuse Lenin and his party, the communists, the Bolsheviks in Russia, of trying to align with their opposition that they just split from. They split because they're opposed to, I guess, the Independent Socialist Party, or what it's called. I think it was, yeah, I forgot what it's called, but it's like another communist party in Germany at the time. So a lot of this is him responding to these fucks who had a split with another communist party who were just accusing Lenin of, you know, trying to grab power. That's basically what he's responding to, in aligning with the opposition that they split from just to get power. And they're basically also rejecting communism. They're like, they're saying, well, uh, why should we? Are we gonna let why should we have the communist party? Why don't we just let anarchy happen? It's basically what they're saying. They're not real communists. That's why they had a split, really. They're just accusing the Bolsheviks here. This is basically what Lenin is doing in this entire discussion. That he's never going to point out in this entire video. This is some context he does not bring up, and it pisses me off.
Parliamentarianism, forsooth. Perhaps there is already a Soviet Republic in Germany. It does not look like it. How then can one speak of reversion? It is not an empty.
Mind you, by this point, Germany had only had a parliament for, I think, about 30 years. Their system had not been as built up yet. All right. It was pretty young.
Phrase. Parliamentarianism.
I guess you could say, yeah, it was as young. Yeah, almost about as young as the U.S. at that time. The U.S. itself, and the U.S. was not as old as Germany.
Historically obsolete. That is true in the propaganda sense. However, everybody knows that this is still a far cry from overcoming it in practice. Capitalism could have been declared, and with full.
No, not the U.S. The Civil War is what I'm thinking of. As young as the Civil War. So yeah, not that long.
Justice to be historically obsolete many decades ago, but that does not all remove the need for a very long and very persistent struggle on the basis of capitalism. Parliamentarism is historically obsolete from the standpoint of world history, i.e. the era of bourgeois parliamentarism is over and the era of...
This entire thing he's doing right here is invalidated because we don't have a parliament system, especially. I mean, it's already invalidated by the stuff I brought up. But the fact that he's talking about parliamentarianism is another flaw, because the U.S. does not have a parliament system. These are two very different things from comparing our system to parliamentarism is not the same at all. We only get the choice of two parties, and they only prioritize individual leaders over real party policy. And both of our parties are corporate parties, all right? There's no people policy. There's no pro-worker policy going on, or promotion of any social, prosperity going on in any of our parties. Right? They both just say send more bombs to Israel so they can blow up brown people, and we're going to do that too with our own invasions, and also we're going to try to start some shit in China. All right. And that's another problem with Grand Planner. He wants to be anti-China. He's on board with that proxy war that the U.S. wants to do in 2027 against China. Okay, that's what they're going to try to do. Look out for that. Anyway, I gotta go. There's a lot of people smoking him in these comments too. It's good. They need to push back on people like this. Way too influential in these spaces, and he shouldn't be. He is bourgeois. He wants to protect his own status and access to the DNC. That's all he's there to do. He's just like some mouthpiece for DNC to promote them to masses who are online. That's it. He's pretty useless. I pointed this out before. But yeah, these people, like I see people on platforms just re-quoting this idiot, and they need to stop it. I just wanted to call out this shit, like, and just for more reference for me to also recall back to later. Because a lot of people will memory hold this shit, but I won't, especially when I make the content for myself. Anyway, take care. If anybody sees this, I might stream tonight and go over more of this later. Anyway, bye. I'm gonna go eat.